All right, thanks for being here. We're going to get started. My name is Nick Davis, and everybody knows that Social Security is an important topic. We all have different opinions as to whether it's going to be around for us or not. But some people, using some strategies, have actually found a way to improve their overall retirement plan by paying special attention to Social Security. So today, we're going to talk about how you can discover the best personal Social Security strategy for your retirement. And as I mentioned, I'm also going to talk about a special case study. I've got permission to talk about Joe and Susan from Wiley, Texas. And they were actually at this same workshop, and we found $600 more per month for them in retirement. Very cool case study. They actually received they're on about $60,000 more cumulative benefit. She ended up actually claiming Social Security like 3 years earlier than she thought. And so I've got permission to share that with you today. Pretty cool. Um, some other questions that we're going to cover are there special Social Security claiming strategies? Some people are wondering, are there actually special claiming strategies? Um, should you claim early, or should you claim at 66 or 67 or 70? How do I know this? What do I not know that I need to know? So just some expectations. We're going to spend about 35 minutes. I'm going to hang out at the very end. I'm going to get to the point, and so you'll know within 35 minutes everything you need to know, but I'm going to hang out afterwards and spend an extra couple of minutes talking more in depth about some of the things that I'll point out here as we go along that maybe need some extra attention. But I don't want to spend an hour, I just want to spend 35 minutes and then get you in and out. So if you're kicked off, just know that you can try to get logged back in. You can also check your email because we will send a replay out so you can watch a replay. Also check your email for a handout. When you signed up for this, you should have received a handout. All right, and that handout has a follow along, fill in the blank. If you are on a smartphone right now and you will get kicked off the webinar if you try to check your email, don't worry about the handout. Just, if you need to take notes, take notes. My goal is for this to be very educational. So you can also send your questions to Connie@stonebridgetx.com, Connie@stonebridgetx.com. And then this software that we're using today, if you're at a computer and maybe if you're at a smartphone, it'll allow you to send the questions through the webinar. So if you have questions, feel free to send those through as we get going here. But the real goal for today is to help you to understand how to make sure that your Social Security benefit is optimized for you, and why optimizing your Social Security benefit is important whether you're rich or poor. Okay, so it's important for everybody. And there's going to be two ways to respond today. There's nothing to buy. I've been doing this workshop and been teaching this online and both in person in the area for a long time. And I would say the large majority of people who attend this find it purely educational, and maybe even 97 or 98% of those people never transact business with us. But they do benefit from the Money Master Plan, which includes the personalized Social Security claiming guide. So today I'm going to talk about what is the personalized Social Security claiming guide, okay, and how does that fit inside of an overall master plan. And so some people are going to benefit from taking advantage of that, and you're also going to benefit, or not benefit, but be able to respond by sharing these lessons with somebody that you feel need to know these lessons. Social Security is a one-time decision that actually has the biggest impact on how long your other money lasts. And if your money's going to last forever because you're so wealthy and so well off, well, even you want to do better for yourself so that you can have a greater legacy. And so it really affects everybody. And so I feel like these lessons should actually be required before you claim your Social Security benefit. So you'll be able to share this teaching with others. The Money Master Plan is a five piece framework where it includes an income distribution plan, an investment plan, a tax optimization plan, a healthcare plan, and a legacy plan. And Social Security optimization is part of the income distribution plan. Now, there's more to that. Like, for instance, in an income distribution plan, you also want to have an inflation plan and a spousal continuation plan. But I wanted you to see in general, here's a big picture, and the Social Security piece is a crucial part of having an income distribution plan. So the opportunity that you're going to have today is going to be to get a personalized Social Security optimization plan for some of you, and then also that fits inside of you actually receiving high-level recommendations for all 5 of these other key areas. For instance, if you have maybe you're not tax optimized, or maybe there's some tax opportunities, tax savings opportunities. Well, those things can be pointed out to you as well, so that at least somebody has looked at it for you. So, full disclosure, I do not work for the Social Security Administration. I'll tell you a little bit about how I got involved with Social Security here in a few minutes. But use this advice at your own risk. Do not actually take this for personal advice. So when we talk about Joe and Susan, that particular strategy may not work for you, okay? A little background on me. I have a family, and it's a big family, and 4 kids, and we actually have this major problem, this major addiction, and that is we go to Disney too much. So I used to make fun of people who go to Disney every year, and the last 4 years we've gone 3 years out of the 4, and so I swear we're not going back. But there's a picture of my kiddos. I live in Salina, Texas. My office is in McKinney, and McKinney, Texas is northeast of Plano. We're in Adriatica off of Virginia Parkway. Let me kind of skip to the bottom here and just tell you that previously I was a pastor for 10 years. And I realized that I didn't have to be on a church staff to make an impact in people's lives. I got into wealth management, retirement income planning, and I founded Stonebridge in 2012. Last year, I had the honor of being added to the advisory board of an Inc. 500 number 10 fastest growing company. For the past, 3 years now, they've been an Inc. 500 company, and they're called Formula Folios, and that is an investment portfolio. And I've had the opportunity to write articles that are featured in Forbes.com and CNN Money, and anything that I can do to contribute to the income planning world, I'm very passionate about it. We have a show called Retire with Clarity. You may have heard us. You can subscribe to our podcast at retirewithclarity.com. And I'm not a person who just passed a Series 65 exam or an insurance exam, and now I'm an advisor, or I didn't get just hired by a big firm and trained, and then now I'm an advisor. I actually took it very seriously, and I've got some financial designations. So I hold the Chartered Financial Consultant designation and the Retirement Income Certified Professional designation, and it's kind of a unique focus for us. We primarily work with people who are right at the point of retirement. Okay, so that's a little bit about me and my background. How did I get it started with Social Security? Well, it really kind of goes back to a guy named Rob. So the story goes like this. I was doing a review for Rob, and I noticed that he had a line item for his mom, and it was like $267 to his mom every month. And I said, "Tell me about this." And he said, "Well, my mom, me and my 2 brothers were making up for the shortfall for my parents, my mom in retirement. It's about $700 that she's short, so we're kind of making up for it every month." And it hit me because I know his parent, or I knew his parents. I know his mom, and the story goes like this. So Rob's parents, they lived in Oklahoma, and he retired at 60, 61 years old, and he did what most people do, which is he turned on his Social Security benefit the same week that he retired. Okay, so lesson number 1 of our 5 lessons today, and this kind of ties into Rob's parent story, is separate your claiming date from your stop working date. Okay, and I'm going to kind of elaborate on this, but let me tell you his story. So years later, Rob says, "Will you sit down with mom and dad?" And I said, "Sure. Tell me about the money." And Rob's concerned about you guys, and he said, "Well, life's good. We're living below our means. We've got all of our debt paid off, and um, we're primarily living on Social Security, believe it or not." He said, "I get $2,500 a month, and she gets a spousal benefit off of that. So, at that time it was about $1,100, and so there's about $3,600, 25, yeah, $3,600 coming in, and life's good. We had some money saved up, but we spent it, and now we're primarily living off Social Security." Well, what we didn't know was that while he was talking to me, he had prostate cancer, and a year and a half later, he's out of the picture. Well, what happens to your Social Security benefit when you lose a spouse? You get to keep the greater of the two. Okay, so now instantly she goes from $3,600 down to $2,500. Okay, and it was pretty devastating. So even though they were saving some money, they actually were saving $300 a month at that time. There was about an $800 deficit, $700 or $800. And you can see these two pictures right here. The she, this kind of represents what they did for retirement versus what they could have done. Because what I found out is that if they would have taken the ideas that we're going to talk about here today, the benefit that they would have had while they were both alive would have been larger, and she would have not inherited $2,500. Get this, she would have inherited over $4,000. And I have seen survivor benefits have a difference of anywhere from $9,000 to $15,000 difference per year for the rest of the life of the spouse. And so the difference, by the way, they would have had like $1,500 more per month if they would have done this. So in this particular scenario, so when you look at retirement from, getting $1,500 less versus $1,500 more, I mean, it's a huge, huge deal. And so she did what she swore she would never do, which was ask the boys for help. And they would have never had to do that had they had just optimized Social Security. So the reason I'm telling you that you need to separate your Social Security claiming date from your stop working date is because your benefit is based on your AIME, average index monthly earnings, and it's all revolving around your FRA, if you can see this here, so full retirement age. So if your full retirement age is 66 or 66 and 2 months, it revolves around that number. So if you ever want to optimize Social Security, we don't need to know what your benefit is at 70 or 62. We need to know what it is at your full retirement age. And if you need to know your full retirement age, I actually included this in the handout. So later on after this workshop, just go to your email and open up that packet. And I put your full retirement age there. It's based on your birthday, okay? Also, it's based on your earnings history. So you want to, especially if you were self-employed, you want to check your earnings history on your statement. And I don't have this on our screen, but you can go to ss.gov/my statement. Okay, that's ss.gov/my statement. You can sign up on an online account and you can look at your earnings history on your statement. And the reason that it's important if you're self-employed is that they tell you that they may have their earnings history incorrect, and your benefit is based on that amount. I actually had a nurse in Frisco, Texas, who worked for two different hospitals, and we discovered that one hospital was not reporting. So she was able to go and get that fixed. Okay, if you're a school teacher, TRS is important, and so is something called the windfall elimination provision. And unfortunately, they will not tell you what your end result benefit would be. And I will tell you that as long as we know your TRS expected amount and we know your earnings history, we are able to calculate what your actual received benefit would be, which I find that there's not very many people who are able to figure that out. It's not impossible, but it's just not something that they help you do at Social Security. Okay, so separate your claiming date from your full retirement age. It does, or from the day that you stop working. So the day you stop working does not directly need to reflect when you claim your benefit. So you could work to 70 and claim at 66, or you could claim you could retire at 62 and not take your benefit till later. Okay, and so that's the first lesson. It's very, very important. Okay, mental break. I like to keep everybody paying attention. So here's the baby Cheerio contest to kind of get us engaged for a second here. Baby number 3, baby number 2, and people are balancing Cheerios on babies' heads and throwing them on the internet. Thought I would throw this in here to kind of keep us all engaged. And then the winner for the Cheerio contest was some scary looking little alligator. So, all right, back to work. Advisors are wrong about Social Security claiming. Why? Here is the answer. It's written on your screen. We're treating Social Security as a break-even tool. And so what does it mean when I say that we're treating it as a break-even tool? Well, it means that if you claim your benefit at 62, you might get a smaller amount, but you might get it for more years. And if you wait longer, you'll get a larger amount, but you get it for less years. Okay, so if you can see that there, the question is well, at what point do I break even? Okay, if I take it early versus late. And that's what most advisors tell you is important. And most consumers want to do that math as well. Well, I'm going to go ahead and let the cat out of the bag here. The break-even point for every single person is about 80, 81 years old because it's based on actuarial science, okay, and actuarial numbers. So if you're going to live to 80, you should probably consider maximizing Social Security, because the problem with this thinking is you've got to die early or on time to win. Okay, so I instead, lesson number 2, and there's a silly look on my face there in front of the chalkboard, and I guess that my team here was doctoring with the picture. But lesson number 2 for your fill in the blank is treat Social Security benefit like longevity protection. So instead of trying to break even, treat the Social Security benefit like longevity protection. Do you know that it's OASDI, it's old age survivor disability insurance, OASDI, okay? Treat it like longevity protection. The big question that you should be asking is, what are my decisions doing to impact the longevity of my money? Okay, so this is a study that was done, came out at Stanford a few years ago, and it says that if you're a married couple and you are both 65, there is a 50% chance of one of you living to age 91. Okay, um, pretty crazy. So that means, we definitely want to ask the question, what am I doing to make my money last longer? And Social Security directly impacts that, how you claim it, for various reasons. Okay. So the other reason, in fact, I've got, these 6 risks on your screen here. So look at these 6 risks. You've got market risk, inflation risk, tax risk, healthcare risk, death of a spouse, and longevity. All 6 of these would be improved if you had more Social Security benefit. Okay, and so let's talk about inflation risk for a second. I actually, unfortunately, my grandfather passed away a couple years ago, and I inherited the newspaper that he gave me from November 23rd, 1963. And it's pretty cool because I can go through there and I can see that I could buy a 1963 Dodge Rambler for $1,800. And I can buy a Camaro, brand new Camaro, for right around $3,000. It's amazing how inflation works. And, ice cream was 9 cents a gallon. I could spend hours looking through this old newspaper. Well, let's talk about inflation for a second. And I don't want to sound like I'm like promoting the government here, but I will tell you, if you've heard of something called the cost of living adjustment, the COLA adjustment in Social Security, it's pretty awesome. Okay, so like last year they gave 2%. The year before that they didn't give anything. The year before that they gave just under 1%. But you need to have as much cost of living adjusted money as possible. I read one time that $1 of benefit in 1975 is equal to, and this was a few years ago, but I think it was in the year 2015, it was worth like $4.50 of benefit, 1 to 4. So that would mean that if you were pulling $2,000 a month out of an investment in 1975, you'd have to pull almost $8,000 a month in the year 2015 to keep up with what the government actually gave from Social Security. So even the wealthiest person that's here today, probably you're going to have at least 40, 50, maybe 60% of your expenses met through Social Security. Well, the more of your needed expenses that are met, it's going to help the plan because, let's say that Social Security is going to grow at 2% on average moving forward into the future. And what happens when you've got a real financial plan and that real financial plan has over 3% inflation working against your budget? Well, the more Social Security benefit you have, the better you're going to be. Okay. And so inflation is a big, big deal, which leads us to lesson number 3. Pardon the smirky look here, but that is having more inflation adjusted income improves the longevity of the plan. And you can't see this if you're talking to a product salesperson. A product salesperson is going to just show you a software program that has a product and your budget, okay? And it kind of doesn't really include real inflation coming up against your money, all right? And so when you actually have real planning software and you really put inflation against your budget, let's pretend your budget's $100,000 a year. Well, if inflation is 3%, well, that means in about 22 to 24 years, that $100,000 budget actually needs to double, okay? If you're going to keep up with your lifestyle. Well, that you can improve that tremendously just by having a little more Social Security benefits. So you really don't know if you should claim Social Security early or late simply by looking at the value today. You need to actually look at how does Social Security go together with my budget over the years, okay, if that kind of makes sense. All right, pop quiz. How many Social Security filing combinations does a married couple filing jointly have? Think about that for a second. Married couple filing jointly, how many filing combinations do you think they could possibly have? Okay, a lot of times people will say 5 or 6 or 7. The answer is, in fact, Fox News had an article a couple of years ago that said over 750. I have counted over 576, I believe. And it's just very hard to believe that there's that many possible filing combinations. And the law changed back in 2015 and actually caused there to be 2 different sets of rules based on your birthday. And I believe I actually put that in your handout as well as to, if your birthday falls in that period of time. So here's an example of Social Security optimization. Remember I talked about a personalized Social Security claiming guide. And this is actually Joe and Susan's. So what'll happen is the software will actually say, here's your earliest value and here's your suggested. And then if you scroll down this PDF, you'll see hundreds of gray boxes. Well, guess what each one of those gray boxes represents? A different possible filing combination. And so that's why it's important that you use software. I can tell you that if I did not use software, I would leave money on the table all the time. As much as I do this, I always use software to help me give advice about the Social Security piece, okay? And so that's the Social Security optimization. And if you hang out until the end, I'm going to show you exactly how to get that. It's very easy. I would say in under 20 minutes, you could actually find out what your best scenario is for Social Security, okay? By the way, I know I talked about married couples filing jointly, but I will tell you that I've seen single people benefit tremendously. So I know a lady in Allen, Texas, who she said, Nick, I want you to optimize my Social Security. I think I know what I'm supposed to do, but I just want to find out if I'm doing the right thing. And she was like 64 years old, and she's like, I want to go ahead and, she was divorced, not remarried. She said, I'm probably not going to claim until I'm like 66 and 8 months. She comes into my office and we looked at this together and we found $15,000 in extra benefit that she would receive from 64, no, actually it was 65 in a couple of months, all the way to 66 in 8 months that she would not have claimed. And we were able to give her a ledger showing her that, and it was amazing. She actually dedicated that $15,000 to remodeling her kitchen so that when she retired, she has a wonderful kitchen. So it doesn't just apply to single people. Okay, now I've got this big thing blown up in front of you, and I'm not trying to bore you to death, but the thing that trains those wonderful people at Social Security is called POMS. And so that's where this comes from. And it's POMS, and it's just a procedure manual. And I want you to see something that they read when they're being trained, okay? And this is available online. So we're going to look at D here. It says, provide enough information so that claimants can make informed choices, but do not give advice. And then it says, aim at completing all documentation at first contact via a complete interview. And then it says, explain the importance of returning forms promptly whenever documentation is not completed at first contact. Friends, this is a very hard, this is a very difficult decision to undo. So once you've claimed your benefit, you pretty much can't undo it after 12 months. And even doing it during the 12 months is kind of a pain, okay? And so I had somebody last year go into Social Security to ask them some questions. And they said, I do not want to claim right now. I just want to get information so that I can go back to Nick's team and they can help me. And the lady said, I will not, she said, don't worry, we're not going to claim for you. Friends, I promise, she went back to Social Security. They filed for her because of this right here. They really just want to get you done, okay? And I want to give you three things that you cannot get from the Social Security Administration that you need to understand, okay? And so here's the three things. And here is what Social Security cannot do. And no, that picture of that scowling face is not somebody that works at Social Security. But here's the three things. Number one, the first bullet point here is their job is to get you the most benefit today, not cumulatively, okay? And so that means that you might be a widow and your widow benefit is $1,000, and maybe your benefit is 1,100. You go into claim, they say, well, you get $1,100, you should probably go ahead and claim that. Well, by doing that, you actually just got rid of a switch strategy that's available for widows. So you got to be careful because they really think they're doing the right thing by giving you the most benefit today. The second thing is they cannot give you advice to coordinate your benefit with your spouse to get the most money from the system. So there is a coordination with your spouse for some people, meaning that one person claims a certain way and gets a benefit while they're growing the other benefit. And then the third thing is, and this is the most important, they cannot give advice on how to coordinate with your other retirement savings. So should you take Social Security now and not have to live out of your IRAs and savings, or should you live out of your IRA and savings and take Social Security later? Okay, if I just told you who benefits the most from the Social Security optimization guide or the personalization, it's people like Rob's parents who have other retirement savings that they need to coordinate with the timing of their Social Security. So if you have other retirement savings, this is especially important. If we don't have other retirement savings, then we don't have very many options or choices. So some choices could really come into play because you've got to decide, do I want to spend my IRA down a little faster, a little sooner and optimize Social Security, or do I want to do the opposite? So pop quiz, did you know that men do not live as long as women? And we're trying to figure out why that is. Maybe you can help us to figure that out here today. But there is a reason. But here's the question. What was the average life expectancy of a male in 1935? The answer is 61 years old. And for women, it was 65. And interestingly enough, that's when Social Security began, OASDI, and you had to be 65 to claim. So I'm sure that men were not as excited about the fact that it would be like, today life expectancy is 84 for a guy, so you got to be 90 to claim your Social Security benefit. There'd be some pretty upset people. So this chart, it might look a little small from where you're sitting, but this comes from the Social Security website. And basically, if you wait to your full retirement age, you get 100% of your benefit, if you can see that there. And if you claim early, you get less of a benefit. So there's a 6.5% reduction per year, and that is a permanent reduction. So what happens if you wait beyond age 66 or whatever your full retirement age is? Well, you actually get 8% more per year, all the way till you're 70. So here's a question. Where do you have money that's not growing at a guaranteed 8% underwritten by the US government? And does it make sense for you to delay Social Security a little bit to help your plan overall? I'm not saying that it does, because in many cases, like in the case for Joe and Susan today, we actually had Susan claim earlier. So, it's not always a slam dunk decision to wait on Social Security. So lesson number 4, more Social Security income can reduce pressure on other invested money. Okay, moving right along. Pop quiz. What is the overall percentage penalty if you take Social Security at age 62 compared to age 66? So the answer to that question is 25%. There's a 25% permanent reduction if you take your benefit early. However, it may make sense for you to take it early based on various reasons, like maybe you need to, or maybe your spouse is able to give you a bigger benefit later. Okay. So there are going to be some special questions that I am not going to get to during our first 35 minutes, maybe 40 minutes now here, because I'd like to be able to, get to the point before, we talk about all that stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang out at the very end. So after I get done kind of wrapping this up, I'll hang out for a little bit longer and I'll talk about Social Security solvency, Social Security earnings test, which has to do with if you're still working and you claim Social Security. And I'll also talk about taxes and Social Security. So if you hang out at the very end, I'll probably hang out for an extra 10 minutes or so, and I'll talk about all 3 of those questions. Also, if you've got questions, send them in. You can either use that box, or you can you can actually email Connie at stonebridgetx.com, Connie at stonebridgetx.com. And so we're talking about the Money Master Plan and how it relates to Social Security optimization. And we're talking about income distribution plan, which is part of those 5 key areas. And the offer today is going to be you getting a plan for all 5 of these key areas, including Social Security optimization personalized guide. And I'll kind of go into the details, because there is a catch to that, and I'll give you that catch here in a few minutes. But talking about income distribution for a second, you should really consider shifting the conversation away from talking about only returns and instead talk about your income distribution plan. Okay, and I just want to make a point when you're looking at this slide. When you retire, you're going to be pulling money out of Social Security and IRAs and maybe even pensions and maybe even taxable accounts. Well, your ability to withdraw that money in different sequences and order is actually going to make a difference on how long your money lasts, or if you do well or not. Even if you are very well saved, very well prepared for retirement, everybody wants to do better. And there's 2 reasons why the order matters. Number 1, managing volatility. That means don't pull, if you don't have to, do not pull money out when you've lost money or you're down. And so how do you plan for that? And then secondly, reducing tax drag. Okay, so this is kind of a weird concept, but maybe you've never thought of this before. So one of the questions might be, what do I need to know? Well, one of the things that you need to know is a study was done at Baylor University by Bill Reichenstein. And the study basically said that almost 100% of advisors are not paying attention to the order of withdrawal. And so there is a tax drag issue that you could increase the longevity of your portfolio by, and the study said, it was just over 6 years in some situations where you could get your money to last longer without getting a better rate of return simply by paying attention to tax drag. So I'm making a play here for you paying attention to your income distribution plan and strategy and ruling a couple of things out so that you can get your money to go as far as possible. Okay, so the last lesson for today is lesson number 5, and that is an income distribution plan could improve your success through managing volatility and tax drag. So you would like to have a plan for how you're going to withdraw that money and to know that you're doing the best that you can possibly do. So now we're going to talk about Joe and Susan. So I always ask people before we generate the software that actually creates the personalized Social Security claiming schedule for that family, I say, what would you do? So what are you thinking you would do? And you might ask yourself that question, what am I thinking I would do in terms of how I would claim? And Joe said, I'm going to wait till beyond 70. I was very surprised to hear him say that because it doesn't benefit him to wait to beyond 70. And Susan said, man, I'm actually, 59, 60. I sure as heck do not want to, uh, you know, claim now, but I don't want to wait that, basically she said, I don't want to wait to 65, but I will. She was like trying to battle with 64 or 65. Well, here's the spoiler alert. The software actually told her to claim at 62 so that she could take a spousal benefit off of Joe. So this is a picture of the software. Don't worry if you can't read it, I'll read it to you, but this is the PDF that I generated for them. And it basically said that Joe is going to file something called a restricted application for only his spousal benefit on Susan's earnings record at his age, 67 and 9 months. So when he was 67 and 9 months, that's when Susan turned 62. So Susan claimed that made the benefit available for Joe to take a spousal benefit of $674 per month. He was going to wait to 70. He never thought about claiming a benefit off of his spouse. Okay, this example is very common to what we see happen for widows. So if you're a widow or a survivor and or you know somebody, this would be a potential strategy. If you are divorced, not remarried, and you were maybe married for at least 10 years, there may be a potential strategy here like that for you as well. But so what happened was, there's President Trump. I forgot I threw that in there. President Trump thinks it's huge, but basically what happened was he received 3387 at age 70, plus the $1,000 for her. Okay, and he received this almost $700. So I guess at the beginning of our class, I said it was $600. It was actually almost $700 per month for a few years that he would not have received. Okay, so this is why using Social Security timing software is so important. And here's a picture of what that looked like for them. And there was a cumulative difference of about $60,000. So the software will tell you if you claim early and you live to your life expectancy, then here is the benefit versus if you claim this other way. And that way you're able to see from a cash flow perspective and from a cumulative perspective, how do I really get the most from my Social Security benefit? Okay, so true or false? Retirement stress stems from unanswered questions. Okay, I think that you would say that that is true. So your unanswered questions are really what's causing stress. Questions like, am I choosing the best pension settlement for me? Or am I choosing the best Social Security claiming strategy? Or how do I plan for health care? Or what happens to my spouse's lifestyle after I'm gone? Or I hear this more often, what happens to my lifestyle after my spouse is gone? Okay, or hey, how do I live out of my retirement funds for the rest of my life? Well, the good news is the Wall Street system is really not telling you the truth, meaning Wall Street system really has us believe that we cannot really understand our money or our plan or feel good about it because we should just play the lottery and hope. But really good income planners know and understand that you could, you're never going to get this thing 100% to where you feel great, great, great. But I would say you could get 90% confident. Income planning takes these questions right off the table. And this is an example of what an income plan looks like. Okay, this is actually not an income plan. This is one piece of the software. Okay, and I'm going to show you something here. So we're looking at the software and it says this family, Steve and Sherry, they've got a budget of X amount of dollars. They've got X amount of dollars in their accounts, and software says that they're out of money at 74 years old, and that out of 1,000 simulations, they made it 23 times. Well, what we do with the Money Master Plan is something called results in advance planning. So we want to basically simulate if we make one change or two changes, how can we really make a difference? And so, I'm not saying you can correct things 100%, but in this particular scenario, by optimizing Social Security, and they were able to make an impact because you'll notice there's a huge difference in their amount of Social Security. So even though they didn't have 100% success to age 90, I believe I had this set for 95, um, you can see a difference in a cause and effect. And what I have found is that the easiest way for you to get hard questions answered is to have a plan, make a change to the plan, and then see if it makes the plan better or worse. That's results in advance planning. And that is the method that we use for all five of these key areas when it comes to the Money Master Plan. So the Money Master Plan is talking to you about having an income distribution plan and also an investment plan. And the reason it's important for you to have an investment plan is that you want to know what your risk management plan is so that you know what you're doing differently today than you did in, say, 2008. So what are you doing differently? What is your risk management plan? Tax optimization plan. So a tax optimization plan means should you do Roth conversions? Should you withdraw from your IRAs first? Are your investments located in the right accounts for tax efficiency? And are there any other types of opportunities you could be taking advantage of? The fourth is healthcare plan. People want to know how do I make myself feel better about healthcare planning in my retirement plan? And so we want to include that. And then the legacy plan is please protect me from surprises. Okay, I don't want to ever, have a surprise. I want to know how things are going to go, and so that's what all five of these areas are, and that's why it's so important. And I relate that back to our story that we told at the beginning of this workshop, and that is Rob's parents. A lot of what determined how they were able to spend their money in retirement had to do with just education and specifically optimizing Social Security. And so maybe for you, maybe education or a little bit of information could really help you as well. So back to the two ways that you can respond today. That's a picture of my office. I'm in Adriatica, and that is in McKinney. It's very easy to get to. We're in this building right here, and you can schedule a complimentary Social Security analysis, which includes helping the Money Master Plan. Okay, so you actually can receive my advice or my team's advice on all five of these key areas for you. Okay, and the other way you can respond is you can help us to spread this important message. Okay, so there is, who is this not for? It's not for people who are just starting to save. So you do have to have retirement savings. We really are not helpful to 50, 55, 60-year-olds just starting to get going with saving. Um, so you really need to have savings. And also, if you're already taking Social Security disability, we really can't help with that. Now, if one of you is taking Social Security disability and the other one hasn't claimed yet, then this would be beneficial for you, okay? Because there is still some strategy on the table if the other spouse hasn't claimed yet, okay? So I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is that I will give you up to an hour free. It is convenient. You can meet me over the phone, at your computer, or at our office. And the bad news is that you have to meet with me within the next 14 days from now. So you need to get on the calendar today. I'm going to actually give you a link in a second. I'm going to send you to a place where you can, tell you how to request this, but I just need to meet with you within 2 weeks. Um, so what if the only thing that you got out of meeting with me or my team was that what you were thinking was true for you? Kind of like that lady in Allen, Texas, who was single, who said, I think I know what I'm doing, but I want to get a second opinion. And we found her $15,000 that she dedicated to remodeling her kitchen. Okay. If you only got that benefit, would it be worth that time? Absolutely, it would. So consider that. The easiest way to schedule your time would be to go to texasrsvp.com. I'm going to send you to that website right now. I'm going to get that to pop up for you. texasrsvp.com. You can also call our office at 214-988-9178. You can ask for Connie, and you can just let us know, hey, I want to get on the calendar and I want to meet within 2 weeks. Okay. So I'm going to kind of hold to that date. So we're going to look at the calendar right now and make sure that everybody that's here today, and I can see there's several people here today that, we're making time for you. So again, it's the Money Master Plan, and it covers all 5 key areas: the income distribution plan, which includes the Social Security piece. And remember the Social Security optimization, the personalized guide, that's included in these 5 key areas. Okay. And again, that website is right here, texasrsvp.com. And in a second, I am going to stick around and answer some of these other questions. Okay, there's a picture of our office again. So thanks for being here. I'm going to stick around for an extra amount of time and talk about taxes and Social Security, the earnings test, and Social Security solvency. So I will hang out here. But for the rest of you, go to texasrsvp.com if you've got to go. I appreciate you being here. Let us know how we've helped, or if there's any remaining questions that you have. Okay. So now that we have kind of all the 5 lessons done, I'm going to go ahead and go into this for a few minutes, and I won't feel so rushed to kind of be under the gun here to get this done. But let's talk about, these are some common questions that come up that not everybody wants to know about, but let's kind of talk about this for a second. So the first one is Social Security solvency. And what you're seeing here on your screen is, believe it or not, this is the last report, 2010, okay? But Stephen Goss is the chief actuary for the Social Security Administration. And here's my challenge for you. When you fear that Social Security is going to go away, and you hear it on the radio and you hear it, you see it on the news, I challenge you to read the article, because usually what happens is everybody who's like 58 years old and older is pretty much okay, and the real challenge is going to be your children, okay? However, I spent an hour watching this video the other day, and this is Mr. Goss right here, and this was on C-SPAN, and I'll kind of tell you what they said. So basically, there's something called, and let me see if I can find the name of it. Yeah, the Social Security 2100 Act. Okay, and there's things they can do to fix Social Security. So they can increase payroll taxes, they can increase the earnings the cutoff for Social Security payroll taxes. So it's like $121,000 right now. So if you earn $200,000, you're only paying taxes for Medicare on that $200,000. But once you hit like 120 ish $1,000, it used to be 118,500, you stop paying Social Security taxes. Okay. They could also do means testing, which I'm not a big fan of, and they could also increase the retirement age. Well, there is something out there called the Social Security 2100 Act, and Mr. Goss confirmed that by increasing the earnings cutoff for Social Security payroll taxes, they actually would make Social Security solvent for 75 more years. Okay, so the odds of something like this happening are very, very high. And also, if you're 60 years old right now, you're the voters. They know you're the voters. And so the way politics works, I saw them change the law in 2015. and they grandfathered everybody in who was already close to retirement. Okay. So I'm not as concerned about Social Security solvency as I am about, say, maybe Medicare. Okay. So that would be my thoughts, or those would be my thoughts about this. So that would be Social Security solvency. The next question would be the earnings test. So what is the earnings test? Well, if you're not full retirement age and you claim Social Security benefits, if you earn more than $17,000 in 2018, there is a 2-for-1 reduction. They cut your benefit in half. They cut it down. So if you're going to be making more than $17,000, there's a good chance you may not want to claim until you turn full retirement age if you're still working. And the year that you turn your full retirement age, so for most people that would be somewhere around 65, there's actually, they allow you to have $45,000 before they reduce it. So that means if you're a person who only makes 50 or 60,000 that year, well, you might want to claim a year earlier than you were thinking. Okay. And one of the ways that we help you to figure that out is through the Social Security timing software when we're creating the Money Master Plan for you. And the timing software will take into consideration how much money you make and will help us to determine if you're going to keep making that when you retire, if that's going to be a problem or not. Okay, so that is the earnings test. Now, don't worry if you claim Social Security at 62, you go back to work and make 80 grand a year. The way it works is that when you turn 66 or whatever your full retirement age is, it's going to actually actuarially account for the fact that you went back to work and you didn't see a single dollar of benefit, and you would kind of, in simple math terms, you would maybe only receive a total of 6.5% reduction, meaning you claim at 62, you're actually 25% less, but you go back to work, you never see a dollar of Social Security benefit. Now you're 66, and it looks like you only lost 6.5%, not 25%. Okay. So I hope that answers your earnings test questions. And the last topic would be taxes. Okay, forgive me for this silly looking chart. It actually comes from ssa.gov, so it's a government thing here. But excuse me, if here's the question: will your Social Security benefits be taxed? And the answer is they will be drug into this form right here. So 1040, 20A says how much is your Social Security benefit, 20B says how much of it's taxable. And the way that you're going to figure that out is you want to know what is your provisional income. So if you can see my little slide here where it says provisional income, the way you figure this out is you just cut the Social Security in half. Okay, so even if you're single, just cut the Social Security in half. So if you've got $40,000 in Social Security benefit, okay, let's just pretend it's 30,000. So you got $30,000 in benefit, and let's pretend you and your spouse have, between you and your spouse, you have a total of $17,000 in pension income coming in. Okay, so 30,000 plus 17 is $47,000. So you actually take 15,000 out of that number for the provisional income, so you'd actually be at $32,000. So you look here, it says, are you below 32,000? Oh, you are. So then all Social Security income is tax-free. Now, if you're above 32,000, well, then we're going to take 50% of that number and up between 32,000 and 44, and that's going to go into 20B, okay? And that's going to count as ordinary income. So when you hear people say you can have up to 85% of your money taxed, that's what they mean. It's not that there's a direct tax on Social Security, it's that some of that money will be considered in the income formula, okay? Which is another reason why it's important that you not decide to go buy a Corvette, especially out of your IRA, in 1 year, because how much money you pull out from that taxable source actually could cause you to pay several thousands of dollars and more taxes if you're not smart about how you do it, especially because Social Security income actually affects your ordinary income bracket in a way that's kind of hard to predict. And so do capital gains. So when you retire, taxes act way different than they do when you're not retired. Okay, so I'm not a qualified tax advisor. I am a financial advisor who will point you to the tax advisor, but give you enough good information to kind of tell them what you need. So I also do a class called Taxes in Retirement, and I talk about these concepts. And so if you're interested in learning more about that, just make sure you let me know. Be happy to tell you about that. So, all right, so that's the taxes, and that's kind of how that works. Again, the easiest way to schedule your analysis and your time is, and it's completely complimentary, texasrsvp.com, or just give us a call. Again, that's texasrsvp.com, or just give us a call at 214-988-9178. One of our myself and my team would be happy to assist you with the Money Master Plan. Okay, so that's it, folks. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out, and I appreciate the opportunity to be of service to you. And I hope you have a great rest of your